Welcome to Cheap Pops. I'm Nick.
I'm Dave. He's weird. Yeah, we got the new trucker hats. I love custom stuff that you can find on the internet. If you've never seen us before, we talk mainly wrestling, but also we talk about pop culture. Before I get into mostly what we're gonna talk about today, I was on vacation and I got a little antsy, so I went to a store called Ken's Cards down in Connecticut. Yes, I made a 3-hour trip just to go to a shop, but it's a shop that my former friend and I used to go to all the time when we go down to wrestling shows down there. They have an entire wrestling room. It's amazing the stuff that they have there. All old school WWF stuff, old school WCW stuff, action figures, magazines, DVDs, and speaking of DVDs, they had 2 copies of this. I gave you one. FMW, Ring of Torture. I love watching the old FMW stuff, and it doesn't just have Japanese commentary. It has English commentary on it as well.
Ooh.
So this is really cool, and I actually have another one that I bought that I'm going to show. And this, I was so happy when I found.
Yes.
The set that used to be sold on Jim Cornette's website, Wrestling Gold. 5 discs, 10 hours. I mean, it's got Dusty Rhodes, the Macho Man Randy Savage, Jerry the King Lawler, the Rock and Roll Express, Terry Funk. And it's commentated by Jim Cornette and Dave Meltzer, which I think is kind of funny. And
I'm happy about Jim Cornette. Dave Meltzer, not so much.
Right. They had wrestling magazines, and they were buy one, get one free. So I got him a Kane one, and then this. Most people don't know my high school nickname was Diesel, so I bought a Diesel magazine. I actually haven't read it. I mean, I read it when I was a kid, but it's got the old school Raw is War, video game on the back of it by Acclaim.
Yes.
So
which is funny because they wound up using that later on.
Yeah. But this is something.
Yeah.
I bought a copy for him and a copy for me. ICP Stranglemania. This was a video that they bootlegged, that they put out it was IWA Japan and the King of the Deathmatch tournament. They had no rights to this. They just put it out anyways with their own commentary. If you want to hear the word fuck, you'll hear it a lot on this video. But it's hilarious.
Yes.
I mean, they call Cactus Jack Cactus Sack, and one guy Lama Nama Numi.
Lama Nama Numi.
Ponderosa and Swedenhouse. Leatherneck Deadly Fred. Drunk Terry Flunk instead of Terry Funk. It's great. If you've ever watched the JCW DVD, pretty much the same thing. ICP doing the commentary. And even if you're not an ICP fan, it's still funny. It's still a cool. I mean, you could tell that it's straight off the VHS, that's what this came from. But it's cool to see these old school, the King of the Deathmatch with Terry Funk and oh my God, Cactus Jack as the main event. It's so good.
Yes.
This was really fun to watch. I'll go back and watch it again. This is one of the ones where I have to be in a real certain mood to watch deathmatch stuff, but to me this was really, really good. It's great. But as I said, we went to the Wrestling Classic in Springfield, Massachusetts on Saturday, and we met a lot of wrestlers. Unfortunately, one of the vendors they were going to have kind of screwed them a little bit by being shady, and Shelton Benjamin wasn't there, Victoria wasn't there, but I met a lot of people that I wanted to meet. I was pissed at myself because I forgot my bag with the stuff I was going to get signed, but still, I had a good time anyways. I got my Impact Wrestling chair signed. I didn't want to hold it up here. I will post pictures of it on our Facebook and our Twitter.
Plus, your best friend helped you pick out a lot of wrestlers.
Yeah. We had this Macho Man that was $15 because the box was damaged. Box was damaged, so I opened it up. And then you found me this Suicide from TNA, which I love.
Then Tommy Dreamer.
Yep, because Tommy Dreamer was the last one I needed for the ECW kendo stick display that I'm going to do with everybody that's signed the kendo stick, except for Joel Gertner. If anybody knows of a custom Joel Gertner you can find on the online, let me know, because that's the only one that's on the kendo stick that I don't have, and I don't think they ever made an actual action figure of him.
Then, what I got...
Yep, tell him.
I'm so happy I found these three first. The two Kane action figures and the old school Hulk Hogan from 2002. And what was the thing I said as soon as I brought them to the car? If I found a Hollywood Hulk Hogan, I was going to get it.
Yeah.
And sure enough...
Yeah, those are really cool. It's fun to go to these conventions and stuff, and the stuff that you can find is really cool. But we had a great time meeting the wrestlers we wanted to meet. I mean, I was mainly happy I got to meet Harvey Whippleman, and with him and Quang, so I got that autographed. I brought my Impact Wrestling chair. I had Allie sign it. I had Rosemary sign it. Wildcat Chris Harris, Johnny Swinger, Alicia Edwards, and Masha Slamovich was there too, which was pretty cool. She signed it too. I'll post all those pictures. You got to send me yours, so I can post those. I'll post those on our Facebook as well. We had a great time. It was a lot of fun, and
so much fun.
Yeah, I was going to meet the Tonga Kid, but he wore his sunglasses the whole time, and to me that it's not part of your gimmick. There's some guys where wearing sunglasses were part of their gimmick. I get that for their meet and greet, but it obscured most of his face. Like, what's the point then at that point if I'm going to get a picture with you if I can't really tell who it is? To me, that's why when the pandemic was happening and Francine from ECW was wearing a face mask, I was like, I'm not getting a picture with her because it's not worth it. And then we met her at the convention last year, so it made up for it. But we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. We saw a rabid raccoon walking around outside in the parking lot. That was interesting.
He was right by the car too.
Yeah, so it was done by Captain's Corner and Heroes Hideout. No, it's through Heroes Hideout. Zombie Hideout. And they always do great signings. This convention was run really well. I mean, we got there and they were letting general admission in as soon as we got there. The vendors always work well. They're always attentive. There's always somebody ready to take pictures at the tables. I've never been to conventions that are run as well as these ones are done by Zombie Hideout and Captain's Corner. They really do good. I'm sure they're going to do another one the same time next year. Devon was there again, and Devon, I gotta say this, lower your prices, bro. $80 to get my Impact Wrestling chair signed. If I hadn't asked you what the price was, if I just saw it posted, nay, never would have happened. But, I mean, Dijak was there, just came off of WWE TV, and he was only charging $40 for a combo. Devon's a legend, one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time. But $80 for an autograph? Nah, man, that's like Ric Flair money, and no, I'm not saying that Devon doesn't compare to Ric Flair, but there's certain guys that command a price like that, and to me, Devon just $80 for an autograph. That's so. What would your combo be? $150? You know what I mean? Like that's just crazy to me. And he was gonna get one of the Dudley Boys shirts, but the quality on him wasn't as good as the last time we were there, so. And Devon's been at every single one of these.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone to, what, 2 or 3 of them?
Yeah.
And I've heard that he's been at all 5 of them. So, at some point, how many people are going to want to meet Devon? So, the one thing, I got to post a picture of this too. There was like this porcelain doll.
Oh my God.
It was like a baby doll, a porcelain baby doll of Kurt Angle with the arms up and this weird hair. It looked creepy. It looked disturbing.
They did 2 of them. Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Kurt Angle one.
It was just, I will post the picture. It was just disturbing. If I saw that at somebody's house, I would turn around and walk away because I felt like that thing would come alive and just murder people. It was so bad. But we had a great time. I'm sure we'll do more conventions. Maybe we've already talked about maybe doing a table at the next one because we did a table at 2 previous ones, so we might do it again. This time we just wanted to go as as fans. So, oh my God, seriously?
Yes, I told you that they had a Stone Cold one.
That's even more disturbing.
It is.
It's like a jeans diaper. That's so. Who bought that? 200. Wait. What the price?
$223.
You're out of your fucking mind. And it says 5% off. Who's gonna buy that? Who wants that in their house? That's disturbing.
I told you that they did a Stone Cold one.
Disturbing on so many levels.
Because people weren't buying them. That's why they discontinued that line of
and the guy was like, "You can make an offer." I said, "I wouldn't take that as a gift. That's just a no. If somebody gave me that and I unwrapped it, I would just, here you go. I don't want it. No, I'm good, man. That's did you watch Crown Jewel?
Yes, I did.
Did you? All right. It happened on November 2nd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. What'd you think of this show?
Yeah. The crowd was dead for the women's matches. Completely.
Well,
dead.
I mean, it is Saudi Arabia, so, you know, but where they have women cover up all the time, so. But I think they always have good opening videos for these PLEs ever since Kevin Dunn's been gone.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Kevin Dunn, we do not miss you.
That's for sure. As Jim Cornette would say, Bucky Beaver. You know.
Yeah.
I was surprised they started with a bloodline match.
Right?
I thought it was really funny that Tonga Loa is not involved. Hey, the man's got a contract and he's getting paid, so I'm sure he doesn't care if he's not in the matches. You know
really?
What I mean? I thought it was really good psychology. This story has been so well done. I mean, you think about the bloodline, it's been going on since, like, what, 2019 maybe?
2019 or 2020.
Right, when Roman first won the title, I think, at the end of 2019. So this has been going on that long. And I think Solo Sikoa has been doing a good job. I think he's coming into his own. I mean, he is kind of awkward still at times. But it's not like the old, you know, where they were wrestling all the time. And they've cut out a lot of house shows. So these guys aren't even getting time to talk to fans, you know, beyond the house shows either. Which AEW doesn't do house shows either, so, you know, but I think they're going to be doing Saturday night's main event in December, so I'm hoping they're going to do more special events, you know, and TV stuff. I'd kind of like to see them bring back the Clash of the Champions, too. I think that would be a cool quarterly special for them to do, since they own the copyright to it. It was a good match. I mean, the Usos were kind of, you know, ignoring Roman through a lot of the match. And Jey Uso is so over. The crowd loves to yeet and all that stuff. But
can you say that they weren't feeling very Usy?
Yeah. And that's the funny thing is now that Sami Zayn's back involved in this, it's great.
Yeah.
Solo Sikoa spiked Roman and got the win. I thought it was a good match, a good way to start the show. The crowds in Saudi Arabia are usually pretty hot. I mean... And another thing I'm going to say is the singing when it was Randy Orton's entrance music, when they were singing that, I liked it because they stopped. Yeah. Once you got into the main event and they were singing and then they were doing the wave, to me that's disrespectful.
It is.
The wrestlers may not feel that way, but me viewing it, I think it's disrespectful and I hate it. Especially when they go over to England and they're doing nothing but singing or chanting the whole fucking show. That takes me out of it and I don't like it. Yes, ECW fans tried to hijack the show a lot, but not to the extent that a lot of these fans do now. The Attitude Era, yeah, everybody was holding up signs, but they weren't trying to hijack the show all the time, and that's what it feels like to me. When I go to indie shows, there are certain fans that want to hijack the show, and it usually gets shut down pretty quick because they realize they're not getting a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but and then they had the Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Title match.
Should we say the Chant Crew does that?
Yeah, the Chant Crew, yeah. Hopefully we'll never have to deal with them again.
Oh my God.
Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, who came in as the tag team champions against Damage Control, Lash Legend, and Jakara Jackson, the names. It's like they take a baby name book and just, you know... Oh, two L's. Oh, Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. And then against Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. I thought it was a good 4-way. They're hard to do. They're mostly just clusters, you know, and there's no real, you know, structure to the match and
Oh,
everything.
you know you love people matches.
I don't really. Jade Cargill's power is really impressive. I mean, she military pressed. I think it was Chelsea Green at one point and just dropped her, which was crazy. And Cargill and Bianca Belair did a doomsday device and retained the titles.
Me.
I'm not going to be like certain people and say skip the women's matches, because I don't. I do enjoy women's wrestling. Well, not when Nia Jax is in the ring.
Oh, God.
I do enjoy women's wrestling. I mean, my favorite wrestler currently is Deonna Purrazzo, so I do enjoy women's wrestling. And there's people that say, well, they shouldn't be shoved down. They're not shoved down our throats. Wrestling has been mostly men forever. And there are a lot of great women's wrestlers. And I used to watch a promotion, I don't know if it's still around, it might be Shimmer, which was all women wrestling, and I really liked it. The Knockouts in TNA, when they first started, they were the highest rated section of the show for TNA for a long time. The Knockouts were Mickie James and Gail Kim and Awesome Kong and ODB and the Beautiful People. They were the highest rated segments for TNA for at least a couple of years, so I enjoy women's wrestling, but a fatal four-way for the women's tag titles is kind of... And now they've introduced a women's U.S. title. They have the women's North American title on NXT. I like that they're having secondary belts because sometimes the storylines, you kind of need the titles to go with that kind of stuff, but... and then the next match, Seth Rollins against Bronson Reed. I've loved this storyline. Reed is a beast. He reminds me... To me, he's a cross between Bam Bam Bigelow and Earthquake.
Yes.
He's got Earthquake's size, but he's got Bam Bam Bigelow's athleticism. That tsunami splash that he does off the top rope is so impressive, and I love when Wade Barrett says it, because tsunami! It's so... When Cole does it, it just doesn't sound right, but when Wade Barrett does it, it sounds awesome.
I want to talk about the tsunami splash that he did to Braun Strowman on top of a car.
Yeah, that can't be good for your knees. I don't care if you're wearing knee pads or not, that can't. And I'm sure that, I would say that they probably did something with the car hood so it had a little give to it, but yeah, that's crazy.
Speaking of the car hood, I watched the interview where he talked about tucking and everything when he went sliding right across the hood and bam, down on the concrete.
Yeah, I think WWE has done really good work this year.
Yes. I want to say it feels like the Attitude Era almost again.
It really does, and I think it's all gloves are off when it comes to Netflix, because they're not going to have any restraints. They're pretty much going to be able to do whatever they want once they get to Netflix. They've been censoring like the crowd on the CW for NXT when the crowd says "holy shit" or stuff like that, which I understand. It's network TV, you're censoring stuff. But on Netflix, I'm not saying they're going to be swearing all the time, but they can.
Yeah.
And I mean, when ECW went to pay-per-view, all bets were off. They pretty much did whatever they wanted. So you're going to Netflix, and if you watch the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight, I hope they get the streaming issues figured out before Raw, because... And that's, what, maybe 3 months away?
Yeah.
So...
Let's talk about this tag team.
Oh, the Head Shrinkers? The Head Shrinkers, Bastion Booger, and Bam Bam Bigelow against the Four Doinks. It wasn't actually Four Doinks. It was the Bushwhackers as Doinks and Men on a Mission as Doinks. We have Survivor Series 1993, which I think is a very underrated Survivor Series, where Owen Hart turns on Bret Hart and all that stuff. Such a great pay-per-view.
And this one... speaking of the Bushwhackers dressed as Doink, they actually have action figures of them.
I did see those. That would actually be pretty cool to own those. So, but Rollins and Bronson Reed, they jump-started the match. I thought it was really good. Seth Rollins did a super stomp off the top rope to get the win, and Bronson Reed was busted open. I think he actually hit his head a little bit on the steel steps at one point. Really good. I mean, they're continuing this feud because Reed and Rollins are now going to be in the War Games match at Survivor Series 5-on-5, which I think is stupid, because you could have just had Bloodline against Bloodline 4-on-4. You don't really need the 5-on-5.
No.
I mean, they want to... You could continue Rollins and Reed without just a singles match without, adding
And
on to that. But,
hell, you could have put him in the War Games cage.
yeah, but it's not needed in my opinion, but they're going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be a good match. Just, I don't think it was needed, but...
But if you think about it, it kind of feels like old WCW.
It does. I mean, it originally started out as 5-on-5, so...
Yeah.
And they're doing a women's War Game match. We're going to do a Survivor Series preview before we end the show. But next was Liv Morgan against Nia Jax to become the first ever Crown Jewel champion. It was champion versus champion, the WWE Women's Champion against the Women's World Champion.
I felt sorry for Liv in this match.
I did too. There's people that like Nia Jax, and I just don't get it. The same with Charlotte Flair. Although I am seeing a lot more people online realizing how bad Charlotte Flair really was and really is.
Yes.
And the longer she's been gone, I think people are realizing it. But Nia Jax just is not good.
No.
She's not. It just... but, I mean, she should be able to work like Awesome Kong. Awesome Kong was amazing.
Yes.
Awesome Kong had that presence and the athleticism, and just Nia Jax has none of that. And I love Jim Cornette's analogy. She has Sable's voice, and it just does not fit with her look. She should sound like Raquel Rodriguez sounds. And I'm not trying to knock her for her voice. It's not her fault. But she doesn't hit for me. She doesn't click. I don't like her. Same with Jordynne Grace. She's a great wrestler. I just don't like her. I don't like what she does. And I don't like watching her matches. And the only reason I wanted to watch this match was because it's a first. It was for the first Crown Jewel champion. I like Liv Morgan. So I watched it. Tiffany Stratton came out and acted like she was going to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase.
I wish she would have.
I do too. But, they're gonna draw that out.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised, since they're doing a women's War Games match, I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of that, Nia Jax is laying in the middle of the ring and they raise the cage and Tiffany Stratton cashes in that night and gets her big moment. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
No.
I think it would be really cool.
And she definitely deserves a big moment.
I do too. I mean, they're kind of getting back to some of the women being divas, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
All the women don't need to be serious, Shayna Baszler, all that stuff. You can be different. I mean, you had Trish Stratus, who was serious, but she was also a diva. It takes all kinds. I mean, a lot of people might not like Piper Niven. They might not like, the heftier women or, but I think they're athletic. They're fun to watch. I mean, watch some of the Mae Young Classic with Piper Niven, and you'll really see what she can do. They don't really give her a chance to do what she can do. But, I mean, Vince McMahon's not running things anymore, so you're getting a wide array of women now, which I really like.
That's a big-ass fucking doink.
Oh, Mabel? Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did those as action figures. And another thing...
That would be awesome.
If you watch anything with Men on a Mission, Oscar, the guy that brings them out to the ring, is one of the worst rappers ever. They should have just bit the bullet, and because the crowd was chanting "Whoop, there it is" all the time when they would come out. So just bite the bullet and license the music and play that instead of having that goof Oscar. He was horrible.
Yeah.
Just horrible. And you want to know why I know he was horrible? Because Vince McMahon thought he was a good rapper.
Oh my.
He heard him rap in an elevator and hired him. So Vince McMahon's taste of rap is what was leading out Men on a Mission to the ring. That's all I'm going to say.
Vince, you're a moron.
Yeah. But in this match, Dominic Mysterio and Raquel Rodriguez helped out. Liv won. The belt was huge. It looked like when Rey Mysterio had the world title. It was huge. The belts are going to stay in Saudi Arabia because they have their whole WWE experience over in Saudi Arabia, which I think is hilarious, that there's not a physical Hall of Fame in America, and there's not a WWE experience in America, but there's one over in Saudi Arabia. Who's flying over to Saudi Arabia just to see the WWE experience? I'm certainly not. I'm not paying the money to fly to Saudi Arabia just to see a bunch of WWE memorabilia. No. Ain't happening. I'll drive 3 hours to go to a shop to buy wrestling stuff, but No.
No, I'm going to go.
But I think the right person won. Liv, and they got championship rings like sports teams get. So I think that's pretty cool.
After we announced who won the men's one, I want to talk about how when him putting on the ring.
Okay. The next match wasn't really a match. Randy Orton's entrance was a big spectacle with the lights, the lighting and everything, and the crowd singing his music. I thought that was really cool. But when he was on the second rope, Kevin Owens hit Orton in the knee with a steel chair, and then Owens, as Randy Orton does now, dropped him on the announce table right in front of the ref. Well, the referee didn't matter at this point because they weren't going to start the match. The referee got stunned. Randy Orton hit an RKO on Adam Pearce when he tried to break him up, and they ended up fighting towards the entrance area, and Owens set up Randy Orton on tables / a crash pad, which fine with me. I mean, it's the safety of Randy Orton, who's had back fusion surgery.
Yes.
It's fine. Owens got in the balcony and did an elbow drop on Randy Orton, and then they immediately went to a commercial, which I thought was kind of funny on a pay-per-view. But I mean, they're going to do more with these guys. I know that Owens' contract is up pretty soon, so I wouldn't be surprised if he loses to Orton and then he loses to Cody Rhodes. He's going to wrestle. I'm sure he's going to wrestle Cody Rhodes at Survivor Series because that's the way they're going, because Owens injured Randy Orton with a pile driver. Yeah. But I mean, on a pay-per-view, it's in Saudi Arabia. They did this angle, whatever. I mean, I wasn't really anticipating a big match with Randy Orton and Owens in Saudi Arabia. This pay-per-view was not a throwaway, but it's hard to get hyped for the Saudi Arabia ones. The only one I really liked was the Greatest Royal Rumble, because they were going to do that huge Royal Rumble, and then Titus O'Neil, slipping and sliding underneath the ring was the greatest part. The next match, I didn't care about. I just didn't care about. The U.S. title, LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade. I like LA Knight. LA Knight is great. I don't care about Andrade, and I don't care about Carmelo Hayes. I didn't like Carmelo Hayes in NXT, and I don't like him on the main roster. A lot of these guys, like Carmelo Hayes, they kind of... I feel like he'd be in the Acclaimed on AEW.
Yeah,
be with Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, and there's a lot of guys in NXT that are like that. They're guys that would just be in a faction, and they would just all be the same. Because to me, he's the same as a lot of these guys that are on AEW or WWE. They're recruiting the same kind of people now. Like in the Attitude Era, you had a lot of people that were different. Al Snow was different. The Brood was different. Austin, The Rock. You had Undertaker and Kane and the Job Squad and the Mean Street Posse.
Yes.
Just the diversity of the characters was just, crazy in the Attitude Era. And a lot of the stuff now seems kind of cookie cutter with a lot of the athletes that they're signing. So, I anticipate either by after the Royal Rumble or right after WrestleMania, there's going to be a huge releasing of a lot of people. I mean, they released Baron Corbin, they released Indy Hartwell. I just feel like there's a lot of people that are going to get released, because not that they need to cut their budget because they're making money hand over fist with everything that they do. But I didn't care about this match. It was a lot of high spots, and LA Knight retained. The triple threat matches are way overdone.
What was interesting was SmackDown last week, who returned.
I don't remember.
Shinsuke Nakamura came back and attacked LA Knight.
That's right. I'm kind of hoping that now that Triple H is in control, they will actually do something with Nakamura.
Yes.
I mean, when he first debuted, they did a lot with him in NXT, and then at WrestleMania, he wrestled AJ Styles, which was cool. But they've never really known what to do with the Japanese guys. I think the only one they did well was Tajiri.
Yes.
So, but even then, ECW pushed him to the moon, and he was amazing. In WWE, he was good, but they could have done a lot more with him. And Nakamura was such a star. And he still is, but they could have used him. He could have debuted in the Rumble just like AJ Styles, and it would have had just as much impact because for the big events, a lot of smart fans there. They know what's going on. They know who a lot of these people are. So I hope they do something with him, but I'm not expecting it. At this point, I mean, the main event, Cody Rhodes against Gunther to do the new Crown Jewel champion. Always a big fight feel. I love how smug Gunther is. He's to me, he's like the Macho Man, or not the $1 Million Man, but not the $1 Million Man gimmick. But he has that air about him, that the arrogance, and that he's better than everybody else, and I just love that. Cody's really over in Riyadh. The Saudi Arabians love Cody. Over here, not so much anymore. He's not really getting the chance that he was. They're not singing his music like they were before. The whoa is not as loud as it used to be. The white meat babyface, they're going to turn on him. I think they're going to turn on him like they turned on Cena. People just don't want it anymore,
I want to see heel Cody again.
I think it's going to happen. It's going to have to happen. Because when The Rock pretty much emasculated him right before WrestleMania by beating the shit out of him with his weight belt and all that stuff, it kind of made Cody look weak. And then he beat Roman really decisively, and I think that's a disconnect for a lot of fans. And the white meat babyface thing it works for a while, but LA Knight's really popular. He's a really good babyface, but he's got an edge to him. Cody doesn't have an edge. He just doesn't to me, and I don't think it's going to last too much longer. I really don't.
And we both know how great of a heel Cody is.
Yeah, and to me, Cody's matches are paint by numbers now. He does the same moves every time. The Cody Cutter and all that stuff, and he's getting to be like Randy Orton to me, where Randy Orton's going to do the DDT, draping DDT off the second rope. Now he's going to drop everybody on the announce table right in front of the referee. I don't know, it just seems like they don't watch their old matches and realize Orton used to do a lot more stuff than he does now.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe he needs to limit some of the stuff that he does because of his back, but just change things up a little bit sometimes, I don't know.
I want to say the greatest match that he's ever had was against Mick Foley, Backlash, 2004.
I would agree. I think that was probably his best one. I think a runner-up would be the steel cage match from Taboo Tuesday with Ric Flair. But
all right, now speaking of who won it,
Cody won.
Yep. Now, when they were doing the rings and everything, I think it's funny when Liv puts her on, Michael Cole says, well, she might need to get that ring resized. And Cody is having a hard time trying to put on his.
I think they would have figured that out before the pay-per-view.
Right.
But, what are you going to do? There's one thing I want, before we get into your Knicks picks for today. One thing I did want to mention. Underneath the Knicks picks sign here, I have an action figure of somebody else that I met at the Wrestling Classic. Handsome Jimmy Valiant. I met him at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame back when it was in Amsterdam. I want to say it was 2008, 2009, but I can't remember. But I never got a picture with him. This was back when it was very early in me going to meet people. And I just got the action figure signed, and I didn't get a picture with him. Well, fast forward, however many years later, 15 years later, I finally met him again at the Wrestling Classic and got a picture with him. So, to me, I love coming full circle like I did with Adam Bomb, who was the first wrestler I ever met. Got an autograph but didn't get a picture with him. We went to a convention a few years ago and I got a picture with him, so I like it.
And he asked if I want to jump in the picture, and it's like, nope, this is all him.
Yep. And Jimmy Valiant asked what my name was and everything, and Harvey Whippleman did too. And Harvey Whippleman tried to sell me an action figure that was like a double pack of the Legends ones like this one, the Classic Superstars ones, of him with Giant Gonzalez. He's like, I'm only charging $100. I said, no. He's like, I'm going to autograph it. I said, no. Sorry, dude. Plus, it's only going to have Harvey Whippleman's signature on it. It's not going to have Giant Gonzalez's because he's dead. So I'm not. I get that you're trying to sell him, but sorry, that pitch ain't going to work for me.
If it was just an action figure of you,
Yeah, maybe, but I'm not paying $100 for a signed action figure. Especially when your combo was like $40.
Yeah.
Nah, sorry. This is something that I found online, and I got to admit, I had no idea this was a thing. If I say the name Gene Carroll, does that mean anything to you? I don't think it does. I'm going to play a little bit of music. Gene Carroll was a singer, and he had a band called Gene Carroll and the Shades. I'm going to play a little bit of it once the ad goes through. I hate you, YouTube. I know I'm not paying to get ads taken away. There we go. Have any idea who the singer is? This is from the 1950s.
Trying to think.
No, I'm gonna kill the suspense. Gene Carroll and the Shades, 1950s. The singer is Mean Gene Okerlund.
No shit.
Yep, he had a band in the 50s, and I found this online. This is it's a reprint of the original, but Red Devil, Do You Remember? And Is It Ever Gonna Happen? It's a record. It's
That's fucking awesome.
And it talks about Mean Gene, on the back. I just think this is really cool. I had no idea. I mean, I knew Jerry Lawler, made albums and like Handsome Jimmy Valiant. Terry Funk did albums in Japan, but I had no idea that Mean Gene cut an album. I mean, he sang Tutti Frutti on the wrestling album, but I didn't know he had a band in the 50s.
No.
Like, that's just... So to me, that's really cool. I wish I had known about it when I met him, before he died, but...
Right?
Because I would have gotten this sign, but... I mean, if you look at the face, you can tell that that's Mean Gene, just a younger one, but...
Very young Mean Gene.
So I thought that was something cool I could spring on you. Gene Carroll and the Shades. I found this on eBay. I don't think it's available on the actual website anymore. I think it's out of print again, but I just thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Shall we show off what else we got?
You go right ahead, man. Start off. I've been talking a whole lot.
I want to thank you for finding this for me. Cactus Jack.
Yeah, I like the Superstars ones. The only thing I have about them is they all look jacked. And
yes.
Cactus Jack was never jacked. I'm sorry.
No.
But that's a really cool one. Very old school Cactus Jack. I like that.
And I want to thank you for getting me this. If I can find another one, I want one out of the box.
Yeah, that Sandman, I actually bought 2 because I want to open one for my ECW display. And, I didn't bring it down with me. There was a misprint, a factory misprint. Trish Stratus is in that line. And I'll show it on the next episode. No, keep showing because I think I actually might have it here. Keep going. You got more, or is
yes,
that...
I still got more. And I did a pre-order of Eddie Guerrero from WCW.
That's a really good one. He's got the mullet and everything.
Yes.
That's really cool. And it's got the Eddie Guerrero's my favorite wrestler shirt. I like that a lot. That's
and
cool.
I want to thank Mikey Cheese. Shout out to Mikey Cheese for hanging on to this for me.
The Elite Kane right after he unmasked and everything.
Yes.
That's really cool. I like that a lot. That's really. I mean, it's got that the hair and the paint on his face. The eyeliner and stuff. That's awesome.
It looks sick.
That's great. I'd never seen that one, so that's really cool. What else you got? Or is that it?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. Now this, I've said it before. I work at Walmart and I'm able to, sometimes to see things before they make it to the shelf or when they are on the shelf. And no, I don't just buy everything so, people can't buy stuff. I wait until my shift is over and I buy stuff. This is a factory reprint. How I know it's a factory reprint or misprint is because I saw it coming out of the actual case at the store. A Sandman box with Trish Stratus inside.
Yes.
This is, and it's not like somebody took this out and put a different figure in it because the plastic has the room for her finger and all that stuff. It's doing her pose. It has her hands in it. This is not one that somebody repurposed.
No.
This is one, so I thought this was really cool. We're going to go on Ringside Collectibles and get a protector for this because I think this is really cool.
Yes, and it is very rare to come across misprints.
Especially when it's not... I mean, you can go into stores and somebody will put a different action figure in the box because they think they're funny.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is.
Because you actually had that come right out of when you were opening it.
Yep. As I told him, I kind of went on down an eBay rabbit hole and did some shopping. Well, before I do the wrestling ones, this movie I had never seen before. The Beastmaster. I'd never seen it. It came out in the 80s, 82. Kind of like a Conan the Barbarian kind of thing.
I think I've seen bits and pieces of this.
But I had never seen it before, and it was in the $5 bin. I really liked it. I love 80s kind of action movies,
yes.
Like Conan the Barbarian and all that stuff. So this was pretty... I mean, it's kind of got a Masters of the Universe vibe to it, too. So, I mean, it was $5, so I really liked it. Now this is nostalgia for me right here.
Yes!
The Garbage Pail Kids movie. It's campy. It's awful. It's 1980s. It's 1987. I mean, the Garbage Pail Kids, they're still selling them today. But I love nostalgia, and this is just... When I saw this, too, in the $5 bin, I said I have to own it. I haven't watched it, but I'm going to watch it, so I really like that. This, I found... Bam Bam Bigelow is one of my all-time favorites.
Yes!
Him with the gray... I'm going to open this because I think this action figure is just badass, and I want to display it.
It is fucking badass.
And it has the Build-A-Figure of Vincent from the NWO. It's got the torso, but it has the NWO shirt. So I'm going to repurpose that NWO shirt on somebody from the NWO that I have.
Yes.
But I love this figure. I can't... it'll be on the next episode. It'll be displayed on the table, so...
I'm trying to think what NWO action figure you have that don't have an NWO shirt.
I'm sure I have one. But I went on a DVD, and I didn't bring down the TNA ones that I grabbed, but Victory Road 2004, the first TNA 3-hour pay-per-view, and then Turning Point, the second, I bought those. There was another one, I can't remember what it was. I bought a couple of shoot interviews. Father James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister, I bought that. Bruno Sammartino shoot interview. I always like watching Bruno Sammartino interviews.
Yes.
His life story is so amazing, from fleeing Nazi Germany and all that stuff to becoming one of the most famous wrestlers ever. But this is another FMW. I'm going to let you borrow this.
Yes.
One. I just watched it today with Hayabusa on the cover. The Legend Dawns. There's a couple death matches on here. It's really... I mean, you see Horace Hogan, Hulk Hogan's nephew, on this.
Ooh.
With like it looks like he took Animal's haircut and Ann Hawk's haircut and tried to do a mashup of it, and it just looks horrible. But here, you can watch that. That's really cool.
Actually, I'd rather watch it with you.
Okay, well, I already watched it, but maybe. This I did not know existed. The WWE Biggest Knuckleheads. I mean, it's got...
Yes, I have this.
Hornswoggle, the Bushwhackers, Big Show, the Rock, and DX. I mean, it's got the Spirit Squad on the back. I didn't know this existed, so it was like they wanted like $5. It was still sealed, so
I have it, and it's freaking worth it.
This Blu-ray.
Yup, seen it.
I've been trying to get a lot of the Blu-rays because they look so good, and I love having the physical copies of the Blu-ray. Best of Monday Nitro Volume 2. I have Volume 1 already. This one was sealed. I try to get them sealed as much as possible because then you know that the disc is really good. There's no, smudges or anything on the disc. This one I'm happy about. The greatest pay-per-view matches for WCW.
Yes.
This one was not sealed, but I looked at the disc and there was only one fingerprint on one of the discs, so that was really cool. But then... The Best of Monday Nitro Volume 3.
Ooh, that one I do not have.
So I grabbed that too. I love the Blu-rays. Look really good. I mean,
yes.
they're high def and they're really good. But then when I watched the Beastmaster, I said, in the same genre, I have to buy this. So I bought Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer. So I'm going to watch these two. Heavy nostalgia because I'm a child of the 80s.
We're speaking of ECW, Johnny Polo.
Johnny Polo, Raven, back before he was Raven.
Yes.
I thought he was a good manager, and if you've ever watched some of the old school Coliseum videos from like 94 and 95, Johnny Polo does commentary with Gorilla Monsoon, and he's great on commentary.
Yes.
This one, Over the Limit 2011.
That one is pretty good.
I mean, you've got Randy Orton against Christian for the World Heavyweight title. Kiss My Foot match with Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler. Wade Barrett and Ezekiel Jackson for the Intercontinental title. I Quit match for the WWE title. John Cena and The Miz. John Cena never quit, so I wonder who won that match. The WWE Tag Team titles, Big Show and Kane against CM Punk and Mason Ryan. This was when CM Punk was doing the new Nexus. And Rey Mysterio against R-Truth. Not a bad pay-per-view.
I know what Survivor Series this is. Now I remember.
1993. Yep. This one I was really happy to find.
Yes.
The Flying Assassin Beyond the Mask of Hayabusa. If you don't know who Hayabusa is, Google him.
Yes.
He's I don't want to say, I guess, a Japanese Sabu, and they wrestled in ECW a couple times as well, but he was amazing, an amazing high flyer.
And it just took one simple fucking move to end his career.
Yeah, he ended up breaking his neck in the middle of the ring, but I'm really happy I got that. This one I think you'll want to watch.
I've seen it and I have it.
Oh, do you have it? The History of the Hardcore Championship 24/7.
Have it.
So that's I kind of went nuts, and I kind of wish I hadn't because I spent a good amount of money, but at the same time I'm happy I did. So. You can't borrow Hayabusa yet.
No.
You can borrow this one. Oh, you said you wanted to watch it with me.
Yeah, I want us to both watch it together.
All right, so get your sign out because it's time.
But can I get a drum roll, please?
I guess. It's time for Nick's picks. Yeah, something wrong with you.
Yes.
Still one of my favorite logos that we've had made too. As well.
Yes.
So which one you want to start with, if you even remember what you picked?
Kane unmasking and the worst fucking Monday Night Nitro.
I don't know if it's the worst, but it's a bad one.
Yes.
So which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the bad and the ugly.
The bad, the WCW Nitro?
Yes.
This was from April 10th, 2000, when WCW did kind of a reboot with Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff and the New Blood and the Millionaires Club. They had all the people out in and around the ring, and you saw how bloated the roster was at that point in 2000. Just crazy. Jarrett came out and started, brought out Vince Russo. Bischoff interrupted and, was running people down, and then he hugged Russo and he figured out what was going on. They had all the champions turn over the belts, and they called it a level playing field, what they said a lot. For the next 3 or 4 months, everything was a level playing field. It got monotonous at that point. But that weekend was the Spring Stampede pay-per-view, so this was a way to build for that, which you're doing it 6 days and you're changing everything completely before a pay-per-view. It was a little weird, but at that point in 2000, a lot of things were weird in WCW.
Yes.
So, they did Diamond Dallas Page against Lex Luger. To see who would face Jeff Jarrett for the world title at the pay-per-view. They cut out the music and they cut out the spotlight for Lex Luger. Buff Bagwell came out in the middle of the match with his music and went after Liz and distracted Luger, and DDP got the win. Billy Kidman came out and cut a promo on Hulk Hogan. Hogan and Kidman ended up fighting, and Bischoff hit Hogan with a chair.
I want to talk about this. The worst blade job ever.
Oh, he did it right. He did it right in front of the camera.
Yep, just.
And even in the replay, they showed it clear as day in the replay. Right before Bischoff hits him with a chair, you see him go zip. Hogan was so bad at that. I mean, Hogan was horrible at giving chair shots too. If you ever want to watch a funny video, watch a compilation of Hulk Hogan giving chair shots.
Yeah,
that's good stuff. Oh, I forgot. Tank Abbott came out and challenged Goldberg, and then he attacked Mark Madden and ripped his shirt off and everything. It was kind of funny.
I want to say this. Hulk Hogan in the video game does a better chair shot than Hulk Hogan in real life.
Yeah, I think it would have been kind of funny if they made it.
Yes, in the game.
In real life, but and then Ric Flair came out, called out Russo, but got Scott Steiner, and Steiner ran down Ric Flair like he had been doing at that point. And Shane Douglas came in and attacked Ric Flair. And if you were watching and you knew anything about anything at that point, you knew that for years Shane Douglas had been running down Ric Flair in ECW and challenging him to matches.
Yes.
So that made a lot of sense. And then they did Sting against Sid. The winner would face DDP to figure out who would be the opponent for Jarrett at the pay-per-view. The Wall interfered, put Sid through a table, and Sting won by countout. Then they had another Ric Flair promo. There was a lot of promos in this show.
Yes.
They did Kurt Hennig against Jeff Jarrett. Russo told Hennig that if he won, he would get Jarrett's title shot. Sean Stasiak came out to the Mr. Perfect music, which they didn't even change it. And WWE owns the rights to that music because they made that music. So I don't know how they got away with that, but they did it. And he distracted Kurt Hennig, and Jarrett won. Surprise, surprise. They did Shane Douglas against Ric Flair in street clothes. I didn't even write what the result was. I don't even remember. I think Douglas hit Flair with a pair of brass knuckles and beat him, but I don't really remember. Russo hit Flair with a baseball bat. So, do you remember what the highlight of the night for me was?
No.
Kevin Nash came out on crutches. Mike Awesome, who was the current ECW champion, made his debut and attacked Kevin Nash and hit him with his crutches and then cut a promo. He said that he didn't actually have a contract with ECW, but so he attacked Kevin Nash, and then they did the whole thing where Taz showed up to an ECW event, a contracted WWF talent wrestled, and now contracted WCW talent in an ECW show for the ECW title. Never happened before, never would happen again.
Nope.
Crazy stuff. Crazy time to be a wrestling fan. And then they did DDP versus Sting with Jarrett on commentary. DDP won with the Diamond Cutter. And then Jeff Jarrett came in and went to hit DDP with the guitar, and he ended up hitting Kimberly, DDP's wife, with it, which was just awesome. DDP attacked Jarrett. Out came Scott Steiner, and then Luger, and then Buff Bagwell. The New Blood attacked all the members of the Millionaires Club. It was just a cluster, but you know,
it was a clusterfuck.
I see why you picked it, because it's a monumental night.
Yeah.
But it was also, a lot of it was awful at the same time. So, but the one that you picked for your second pick, I really enjoyed.
Yes, Kane put his mask on the line, and Triple H put the world title on the line.
Yep.
Mask versus world title.
Yep, June 23rd, 2003. To me, this time was my favorite opening for the show. The Union Underground song, Across the Nation, that's my favorite time. I wish they would bring that back.
Yes.
That's so good. It was in Madison Square Garden. They did Test and Christian against Scott Steiner and Booker T. Test got the pin with Scott Steiner. This was when Stacy Keibler was out with Scott Steiner, and they were kind of doing the feud with Test and Scott Steiner, where they were kind of putting Stacy on the line for all the matches and all that stuff. With Stacy Keibler still smoking hot today, so I can see why they did that. They did Chris Nowinski with Teddy Long against Maven. This was at the point where Nowinski had his face crushed. He was still wearing the face mask, and he was still having the concussion issues. Maven got the win with a roll-up in like 60 seconds.
Yes.
So,
And I want to do a big thank you for Nowinski bringing the CTE into light and everything.
Yeah, he's been the driving force between the concussion protocols and, you know, bringing that issue to light, you know, especially with the NFL and then with wrestling and all that. So, they did a highlight reel with Chris Jericho with Lance Storm as the guest. They showed a recap of Austin calling him boring and, you know, chanting boring through Lance Storm's whole match. They dismantle the set. Austin interrupts and has security guys dismantle the highlight reel set. It turned into a tag match against the Dudleys. I thought this was a good match.
It was a really good match.
The Dudleys won with 3D. I mean, Lance Storm never really got a fair shake in WWE. I thought he was great in WCW when he was doing the Team Canada stuff.
Yes.
You know, can I be serious for a minute? That stuff worked, I think. I actually liked him when he first debuted in WWF, the tag team that he did with Hurricane. I thought that was a really good tag team. The team he did with William Regal, I thought was a good team as well.
Then when in the... Was he part of... Yes, the Un-Americans.
That was alright, but I did enjoy that too. The next match, La Resistance, who were the tag team champions at this point, against the Hurricane and his mystery opponent,
Sergeant Slaughter.
Sergeant Slaughter. Non-title. La Resistance hit Sarge with the title belt, and they won the match. I mean...
I almost said Rosie, but it's like, no, we're not at that point yet.
At that yet. I think the running theme of showing Kane through the night, you know, looking in the mirror and, you know, all that stuff.
Through the career.
They showed highlights of his career, like debuting at Bad Blood and stuff like that. Austin came out, brought out Mick Foley. Van Dam and about a lot of the former ECWs came out with a framed hardcore title belt. And Vince even came out and thanked Foley, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yes.
That's going to lead to something later on in the night.
Yes.
They had a tag match, Randy Orton and Ric Flair against Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels. I thought it was a good tag match. Shawn Michaels got a pin after the Sweet Chin music. And at that point, when they came back from break, Randy Orton attacked Mick Foley in a stairwell and kicked him down a flight of stairs, which would... This is June. They didn't have their Backlash match until May of 2004.
So
April of 2004.
Yes.
So that's a huge build for that storyline. So I really
and it
like
was
that.
mwah!
Yep. Teddy Long came out with Rodney Mack and did the 5-minute White Boy Challenge.
Oh my God!
And Goldberg answered and beat Rodney Mack within 26 seconds. You know, that's so. And then the main event: Triple H against Kane, title versus mask. Triple H hit a low blow and a pedigree, and Kane still kicked out. I don't remember watching this match live. I think I watched it
I watched it live.
I think I watched highlights of it the next week, but Orton hit a low blow and an RKO. There was another pedigree. And I think he did 3 pedigrees, actually.
3 or... I think, 3 or 4 pedigrees.
Yeah, Kane lost, and so he must unmask. He went like he was going to take it off, and then Evolution attacked him. RVD came out to help, and while RVD was sitting on the mat, Kane rips off the mask, turns around. He has... Show the action figure again, because it has it on there. He's got the eyeliner that he used, the black eyeliner that he had around his eyes for the mask, and then his head was like... It was like Mean Gene's hair, but it was curly in the back, and it was a weird look, but I get it, because
But funny, if you had never seen the interview about it, Kane talked about this already, Glenn Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to go to dinner later on that night with his wife and kids.
That couldn't have been a good look.
He never discussed this with his wife or anything, because his wife loved his long hair.
Oh, was that when he was on the Undertaker's podcast?
Yes.
Are you talking about that? Yeah. So
no, Austin's podcast.
Austin's okay. But yeah, I mean, it was a monumental moment, and I think Kane really came out of his shell in 2003. A lot of people don't like Unmasked Kane, but I think they're thinking of corporate Kane and stuff like that, which I still like too. But this when he tombstoned, Linda McMahon and the feud with Shane McMahon, and even the matches with RVD I thought were really good.
Yes.
I like Unmasked Kane. I thought it really...
Right up until the stuff with Lita.
Yeah, that was kind of... But it gave us Snitsky with Punk the Baby and It's Not My Fault and stuff. But I liked in 2010 when he had that feud with The Undertaker when Kane was World Heavyweight Champion. I thought that was really good. And when Undertaker returned in 2004... as the Dead Man again. Paul Bearer came out. Such good stuff. But I thought that was a good pick. Do you have any picks for this time?
I'll get back to you on it.
Get back to me? Alright, that sounds good.
Ooh, how about we carry into leading up into SummerSlam? when he's still unmasked.
Okay. You want one of the Raws, or you want...
Each Raw.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay.
But we'll do it on different shows.
Okay.
The next one after he unmasked.
So we'll take the one after we... Okay. Alright, I like it.
And leading up like Gary into a pay-per-view.
Alright, I like it. That sounds good to me.
Might as well stick with 03.
Yep.
Because this is when I was growing up watching it.
Yep.
At the age of 10.
Right. Yeah. I know. I'm old.
And this is when the line of the Jack Pacific action figures were.
Yep. So there are 2 pay-per-views that are happening the end of this month. One is happening actually this weekend, like 4 days from now. Full Gear from AEW. The matches are MJF against Roderick Strong, Switchblade Jay White against Hangman Adam Page, 4-way for the tag team titles, Private Party, who are the champions, against the Outrunners, the Kings of the Black Throne, and the Acclaimed. Mercedes Moné against Chris Statlander. Don't care about that. I mean, I like Statlander, but I don't know what happened to Sasha Banks, but she's horrible now. For the TBS title. The match that I'm really...
I think she's so full of herself now.
Yeah. She's turned into the female Chris Jericho.
Yes!
The match I really want to see, Swerve Strickland against Bobby Lashley. That's going to be tremendous. Jack Perry against Daniel Garcia for the TNT title.
Nah.
Will Ospreay against Kyle Fletcher. I think that'll be a really good match. And the match that I'm interested in to see where they're going to go with it, but Jon Moxley against Orange Cassidy for the AEW title. Jon Moxley's horrible. Just horrible. So, but I'm liking Orange Cassidy right now, so.
I thought it was supposed to be Darby.
I did too. I thought they were going that way, but now it's Orange Cassidy, so I don't know.
Yeah, I will be happy if Orange Cassidy wins, but I want to see Darby Allin as world champion.
I think they'll get there, but I mean, this isn't really a stacked pay-per-view. I mean, MJF against Roderick Strong will be a tremendous match.
Yes.
Switchblade against Hangman is going to be a good match. The 4-way tag match is going to just be a cluster where nobody's tagging or they're going to be doing multiple stuff. Monet against Statlander will probably be bad. Swerve and Lashley will be, I think, the match of the night. Jack Perry and Daniel Garcia. I like Daniel Garcia, but I don't care about Jack Perry.
I never cared about him.
Ospreay and Fletcher will be good, and Moxley and Orange, I'll save judgment for when it actually happens. And then there's only been 3 matches so far announced for Survivor Series, which is happening on the 30th. War Games, the Usos, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, and it's going to be Seth Rollins against the bloodline of Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa, and Bronson Reed in a War Games, which will be just a crazy match. Gunther against Damian Priest for the world title, and Women's War Games, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Naomi, and Io Sky against Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae is kind of an outlier on that. I mean, she's doing stuff with Nia Jax and Tiffany. Am I keeping you awake?
Maybe.
Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton lately, so I mean that'll be good too. But I'm expecting Cody Rhodes against Kevin Owens to be announced, and I don't know if they'll do anything else. Maybe they'll have the tag titles or something. Maybe they'll do Tommaso Ciampa turning on Johnny Gargano in the tag title match because that's the way they're going. I mean, they turned on each other 3 or 4 times in NXT, so I'm sure they'll do it at this point. I'm sure it'll be good. I mean, the PLEs for WWE have been hitting pretty good this year, I think. So we'll review that. We'll review Full Gear, and we'll do the next pick. I'm sure I'll review some of these DVDs and Blu-rays, and maybe we'll get a chance to sit down and watch this one. I still want to watch that Pro Wrestling Crate death match one that has like 5 matches on it. And maybe, I don't know for sure, but maybe the Pro Wrestling Crate for this month will be here by the time we record again.
Yes.
So
mine said it shipped out.
I didn't get a shipment notice yet, but I I'm hoping it'll come soon. So, and I hate that they're bi-monthly, but it's cool. I mean, you get a lot in them, so I'm not mad at that. So
Right.
we'll have a lot to talk about on the next episode. I hope you liked this one. We've been consistently keeping it close to an hour for these. I don't
Especially
know.
when we don't have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot going on, but
Yeah.
you know, it's just. I will post all the pictures from the Wrestling Classic, and I hope you enjoyed this. We have a lot of. I think we have a lot of good logos, like the Knicks picks and our logo and other logos. We have a merch store, cheappops.redbubble.com.
Merchandising.
It's so funny that you do that. At Cheap Pop Show on social media, Facebook and Twitter. Those are the only ones. We do TikTok. We haven't done a video for TikTok in a long time, and we really need to start doing that again.
Yes, we do.
We got to get our green screen, going again and doing that. CheapPopShow.com, which is really just a gateway to our social media. Thanks for checking us out. Comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the show. I mean, we're close to, I think we're at 42 subscribers. I'd like to get to 50, but, whatever. We love doing this show. We hope you enjoyed it. Let us know what you think. Why don't you take us out this time?
Pop guys out.